Now, the one thing to start out, I will give Blizzard at least one thing before I go into this gameplay. At least they're staying to the theme that this is not a game that you play and you have to pay to win. You have to spend money in in-game currency in order to win. Now, you can spend in-game currency, but it's for skins and horses and things in the game that really don't matter, you know, when it comes to being able to, you know, build up your character. So many games are going to, if you don't buy the in-game currency, you can't get the special items that it takes to actually excel at the game. So it's a pay to win. That's one thing that I will give Blizzard, is that they've stayed to, if you pay for the game, you get the full experience, you can do anything anybody else can do, and a person can't cheat to pass you up within a couple days after you've been grinding for months. I hate games like that. I hate pay to win. So at least they've done that. But like when you go in, I've been playing this character now for probably, well, I have about almost 290 sessions at a half hour a pop. So you figure about, you know, 140 hours in gameplay. That might seem like a lot, but when it comes to the Diablo games, it's really not. So I will go into my character. So I will go in, and I game on PC, as you guys have heard, you know, in some of my other games. But like, I'll go into the character here, and I've been able to convert most of this stuff over to Legendary, and that was a really cool thing I thought about the game, was that before in Diablo, you had to find the Legendary items, and it was like, at first it was impossible to find, and you got flooded with them. With this, not only can you find legendaries and then upgrade any piece that you get, whether it be normal, rare, you know, or legendary, but you can also turn a rare like this to a legendary, which they've never done. And that, of course, is over here. Let's see if I can find it right away. Like I said, with my brain injury, my memory isn't the greatest. I think I might be in the wrong town. I get lost really easy. My short-term memory and my long-term memory are almost non-existent. I've got some of these towns memorized. The rest of them I don't. I gotta kind of search around. Here, you can go to the occultist, and if you break down legendary items that you find that you don't want in your gameplay, you can then put a regular rare item in, like this one. So I'll put that in. And then you can select the power that you've taken out of junk legendaries that you didn't want. And you can click on that, and then after you pick the power that you want to imbue in it, it'll give you what the finished product will be. And then, of course, with a rare, you can only upgrade 3 times. With a legendary, you can upgrade 4 times. So not only are you gaining the power of the legendary power, but then you can tweak it one more time and make it even more powerful. And kind of like, it kind of reminds me of Neverwinter. you had an item level to gauge how powerful a item is, and they've adopted that. So like when you go into your character and you put the cursor over, it will actually give you the item power level so that you can gauge whether or not a new item is a good swap or not. You know, if you're unable to kind of do the checks and balances, that'll give you an idea if you know you're swapping up to a better item or something that isn't going to suit you as well. But it also depends on your gameplay, you know, and it depends on what that item is offering you. But as you can tell, your original item level is listed to the left. This one would be 597. And then the plus 20 item power would be your legendary that you, or your upgrade. And then of course you totaled, you know, the two. This one I'm waiting to be able to turn into a legendary, because when I do, it's going to be just OP. The problem though is that makes it kind of difficult, but it's not really a complaint. In order to upgrade to a legendary, sorry, I gotta go back here. When you put everything in, to add a socket, you have to have a special supply that you get from beating like big bosses, like, you know, bosses that are in the main story. And then, like, to upgrade this, so we'll pick this just as a generic. You go over here, and it's also a rare crafting material. So, I mean, you got to really grind to get this stuff. The sockets are harder to put in than making something legendary, because, like, for instance, with sockets, you go over to your jeweler, and like in Diablo 3, you can upgrade jewels that are in your inventory, and of course they're capped by level. And then you can unsocket a socketed item. You can add sockets, but here's the downfall. You have to do special bosses in order to get the scattered prism in order to add that socket. So it's not very often that you get that, at least not where I am in the game. And then of course you can upgrade any jewelry. Of course you can't upgrade past 3 with a rare unless you turn it into a legendary, and then you can do one more upgrade. So that's how they ran that. So they added some things to the game with that. I don't really see the point in the horse. I really don't. You don't go that much faster than you do on your feet. And there's no stamina, you know, bar, so you can run as much as you want. So the rationale of having a horse doesn't make sense, because, let me show you. You know, somebody said, well, you can attack while you're on the horse. Sure. Yeah, you can. Here's my horse, which is one of the best ones in the game. But like when you want to attack, now if you look down here, the only thing that you can actually attack with are the horse's powers, at least unless I'm misunderstanding, because I haven't used it much. So you can't actually like utilize your skills and your weaponry while on the horse. So since it doesn't go that, I mean, it goes a hair faster than what you can run. When you're using the horse, if you're not fast traveling, you're getting on and off that horse when you get mobbed. So what's the point in being on the horse? I don't get it. I really don't understand the upside to the horse. If you look here,
I'm in town.
say you have to get off in order to really hold your own on that horse. So I think that that was just a cosmetic thing to brag about, was basically all they did. At least that's my opinion. So let's go into some gameplay. Now I've got graphics turned up pretty good, but since I'm running a recorder in my camera, I really can't like really all out set it to like ultra settings because I'm recording at such a high frame rate. But let's go into, and I'm doing all the side quests first so that I can basically get beefed up. So you hit your map, and you hit Q for quests, and I'm right here. So then you scroll out, so it would be Desperate Remedies, that's over here, and I never fast travel. Because if you're going to grind and get better gear, how are you going to do that if you're fast traveling everywhere? You're never going to get any stronger because eventually the bosses are going to be stronger than you are because you're not getting better equipment. So we'll put a trail to that, which is kind of cool. You just right click it and then you have a trail on your mini map over here that shows you where to go, so you don't have to keep cycling in and out of your big map. And like I said, I do not run the horse. I think it's a complete, joke. And we'll go out of town here. Now, like when it comes to my weaponry, I don't have exceptional weaponry, but I think it's pretty good for the level that I'm at. So basically what you have is the ability tree for ability points is pretty cool. That's something that they've kind of done differently with this one. And then you have the old skill tree that you had in every single Diablo, except this one, depending on what you pick, there's different trees, and then you can tree out, and you can really customize your character the way you want to fight. Now see, with me, since I have brain damage, I can't remember a lot of buttons, I can't cycle a lot of buttons in gameplay because my brain just doesn't work like that. So I've set it up to basically where I can pretty much hold my own with my main skills. What I use a lot is, well, here, I'll go out to show you. My left click button on my mouse is Flay, and my right is Frenzy. Frenzy from even Diablo 2, it was way back in Diablo 2. It's one of the best attacks that you can have because of the bonuses that you get in it. Like while in Frenzy, granting 60% bonus attack speed, so your attack speed is upped, your damage is upped. You can clear a crowd in no time. And when it comes to expertise, which is also something that they've added to Diablo that they didn't have before. In Diablo 2, you had to put points on whatever kind of weapon you wanted to use. Because, if you planned on using swords or axes, you had to put your points on that to up the damage. With this, the more you use that type of weapon, the faster you rank up. You don't put points. And as you can see by the tree, I use a two-handed sword for when I want to do massive damage. And then when I want to go to quick attacks, I go to two one-handed weapon dual wield. And the dual wield, I have bleed damage for one of them. And the other one is just straight, damage. So what I'll do is Oh, I'm sorry. I got it backwards. My two-handed weapon, if you watch, will do bleed damage. When I hit them, you'll see it turns a lighter shade of gray or of red, and they bleed out. Well, when you're on a big group, what you do is just hit them once, and then switch to your one-handed, where you can basically attack twice a second, which will give me the opportunity to clear a crowd in like no time. That's my slow attack, and then this is the fast dual. And as you can see, you can clear them out really quick. So with like a big boss, what I'll do is I'll stack up the bleed damage to where I've got the bleed damage to where he'll bleed out completely over time. And then I'll switch over to the dual-handed fast attack that does less damage. So then I'm doing bleed damage and dual attack damage. And it's like triple damage. And I'll kind of show you. I'll do one of the bosses down here. So you can see the bleed damage come up. And this is on the second difficulty. I'm not really sure. You guys will have to let me know what you run on. I'm locked out of the third difficulty right now. I think you might have to beat the game in order to access that. Or be level 60. So like watch that. And then you switch over to your one hand. Now that is Iron Skin. That's another mainstay. And that's because when I put up Iron Skin and you hear that drum sound, not only do I have a shield, but I can heal at the same time without using the potion. I'm not ready. I'll get a big crowd here, and you'll see how well I can tank the whole crowd. See? That's the Iron Skin. So they can't do any damage to me until that shield goes down. And that's why it's light blue, is because there's technically a protection over it. So when you're in a large group, you can cycle the Iron Skin about every 30 seconds. Now when you're on the second difficulty in big bosses, it takes only about 2 hits, or about 2 to 4 seconds for that Iron Skin to go down when you're up against bosses. But 2 seconds is better than nothing when it comes to damage, and you're healing. So I don't have to use a potion very often. I got to get mobbed before I know it. As you can see. And this is with my slow attack, mind you. Now I'll try my large attack without the bleed damage, or my dual-handed attack without my bleed damage. And you'll be able to see it takes a lot longer to kill them than it does with bleed damage. It's like unbothered. But when you combine the two, you can clear a crowd pretty quickly. Now, I've been always addicted to the Barbarian. I have since Diablo 2. I don't really like classes, so it's nothing but like. If you want damage, your Barbarian is good. If you want to be, and I even try to set it up as not only DPS, but also as a tank that can tank damage. That's why I set up the Iron Skin the way I did. It was so that I could tank a whole group by myself, and I don't have to worry. Here, I'll show you. You watch my potion, it takes until like they really start throwing a huge group before I have to use those potions. When I start getting down on HP, what I do is I cycle that Iron Skin where I can heal at the same time and regenerate that one. Now the only way that you have to use potions is if you can't keep up with the damage doing with that 4 seconds. As you can see, I haven't even used the potion yet. Now, some of my items do have regeneration, and they do heal over time and regenerate. So that also helps. Like I said, you guys will have to, message me and tell me if you think I'm wrong about the barbarian class. At least for tanking and for damage. I know that the rogue has some advantages. I can't get into it. Just not really into the other classes. As you can see, I haven't even used it.
Where are you?
Now here might damage is like one of the best things you can do. Very much combined with skill that increases. Like I said, it's smooth. For the most part, for a new release game, it's actually very good. So you'll have to let me know how you guys set up your characters, and if you think I'm wrong about the barbarian being the OP one. I know Necromon, but I never. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to see any areas in Diablo, any more ratings on aspects of the game, let me know. I'll get back to you and drop you a comment. You guys have a good one.